Hey, what's happening, you drooling Drifloon? Today, we're taking a look at all of the cards that were just revealed for Mega Dream. Mega Dream is the new set coming out in Japan in just a couple days. November 28th, Mega Dream drops over in Japan. We won't be getting these cards until January 30th, unfortunately, in our Ascended Heroes set, but let's take a look at them, and I'll give y'all my thoughts. Starting with a Beautifly Dustox line. Silcoon and Cascoon both evolve from the Wurmple, of course, but the Silcoon's ability is pretty powerful. When you play this card to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may use this ability, search your deck for a Cascoon or Silcoon and put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. And there's a decent amount of synergy between the Beautifly that evolves from Silcoon and the Dustox that evolves from Cascoon. So, got the Beautifly here. It's got the Energy Straw attack for a single grass. Your opponent reveals their hand, and then you do 80 damage times the amount of energy you find there. Stun Spore, 40 damage for a grass energy. Flip a coin if heads. Your opponent's active is now paralyzed. It's never bad to have a paralysis attack on one of the Pokemon in your deck, but not going to be our go-to attack. Of course, it is that Energy Straw. And then we have the Dustox. With that Rustling Wind ability, once in your turn, you may flip a coin if heads, return an energy, attach your opponent's active Pokemon to their hand, and then Double Grass, Twilight Poison, 100 damage. Your opponent's active is now poisoned and asleep. So, looks like a pretty cool meme deck for sure. Using the Silcoons, evolving your Wurmples into Silcoons, then your Silcoons can find a bunch of Cascoons and Silcoons, and that way you can get a bunch of Beautiflies. Well, you only really need one Beautifly in play. You can get a bunch of Dustox in play for the Rustling Wind and then get those energy back into your opponent's hand. I believe also Team Stargrunt is a supporter legal in the standard format, which returns an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to their hand as well. So you can also play some of those in here. So this could be a pretty cool meme deck right here for sure. Up next, we got an Entei here. It's got that Flare Fall. It does 30 damage plus 90 more damage if you have at least 4 fire energy in play for 2 fire energy. So not a bad single prize fire Pokemon, but we do have that Baby Moltres in format. Of course, the Baby Moltres only hits for 120 damage if the active is an EX Pokemon, so this can hit for 120 damage against anything. So there's that trade-off there. We got this Numel here, which maybe with Mega Camerupt, this could be the new Numel you play with the Mega Camerupt. It's got that incandescent body. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and you take damage from an attack from an opponent's Pokemon, the attacking Pokemon is now burned. And then Flame Wheel for a Fire and a Colorless, 20 damage. And then we also have this Camerupt in here, which also could be good in a Mega Camerupt deck. It would give you like a nice one prize attacking option to evolve your Numels into. It's got that Burning Grill, Burning Grill attack here for a single fire. If your opponent's active Pokemon isn't burned, this attack does nothing. But of course, with the Mega Camerupt DX deck, we already play built-in burn options like the Volcanion and stuff like that, or the Volcarona, depending on the build that you're playing. So you'll be able to burn them pretty easily. And then you got the Power Stomp, which if you're playing like an Ignition Energy build of the Mega Camerupt EX deck, you could also get that Power Stomp attack off for a Fire and an Ignition Energy. 170, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, and of course, you would discard the Ignition Energy. So a cool little one prize inclusion for the Mega Camerupt deck for sure. Up next, we got the Snow Run here, which isn't anything super special, and I've already actually reviewed some of these cards, but I am going to go through the whole set as we go through here. But it's got 70 HP, which is just kind of an upgrade to the current Snow Runt category, library, selection that we have. Just an upgrade to the overall Snow Runts, because the attacks of the other Snow Runts just aren't very good. Neither is Chili, but at least it's got 70 HP. Then we got the Mega Frostlass EX, 310 HP. Rebellion does 50 damage times the number of cards in your opponent's hand for a single water energy here, and then Water Double Colorless. Absolute Snow does 150. Your opponent's active is now asleep. I am going to skip the Ends Vanillix line here. We'll move on to the Frostmoth that does combo with the Mega Frostlass pretty well. Once in your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use the ability. Each player draws a card, and then for 2 water, does 90 damage. Move a water energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. It's not a terrible attack for a support Pokemon. So this will be your draw engine and a way to force cards into your opponent's hand to then hit harder with Rebellion. We also do have the Water Stadium. I forget what it's called. Surfing Beach, which allows you to move from a water Pokemon in the active to a water Pokemon on your bench. So you could have, 2, maybe 3 Frostlass or Frostmoth, set up. And you use an Inviting Wing, and then you use the Stadium to go from Frostmoth to Frostmoth. You use another Inviting Wing, and then maybe you play a switch card into a third Frostmoth and use Inviting Wing again, and then you have an Air Balloon on that one, and then you retreat into your Frostlass. And not only did you draw 3 cards for turn, but you also force your opponent to draw 3 cards for turn, which means Rebellion hits harder. And on top of that, if we need our opponent to draw more cards, we can play stuff like Judge, or I forget the name of the other card. The other card is so bad, I don't even want to remember the name. I know someone's going to shout it out in the comments, but I'm not going to mention it. We got the Mega Electros EX here. Stage 2, of course. Now, this isn't like a main deck type card, but it's got that Split Bomb for 2 lightning. 60 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, and then for 3 lightning, Disaster Shock 190. You may discard 2 lightning energy from this Pokemon. If you do, your opponent's active is now Paralyze. So a cool addition to any electric deck, to be honest. A paralysis attack that 2-hit KOs everything, and a little bit of snipe potential as well with the Split Bomb. Up next, we got this Stunfisk. It's got the Jumping Trap during your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon can't retreat during your next turn. This attack's damage does 100 more damage to the defending Pokemon. So it is another another corner impound. Now we got Jumping Trap. This one's a little bit different than stuff like the corner or the impound of the Sudowoodo, or the clutch of the Yveltal, the corner of the Maractus. I think that's Maractus' attack. This one does 30 damage, and then also does more damage on the next turn. So it's going to be a little bit harder to infinitely trap your opponent's Pokemon. It feels like maybe they are learning a little bit from their previous iterations of your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat style Pokemon, and not giving it quite as much potential longevity on a board state with this Jumping Trap. But we'll see how they approach retreat lock Pokemon moving forward. This might just kind of be a one-off and not the norm for those style of cards. We've got the Heliolisk here. It's got that frilled lightning ability. This card is actually super cool. I'm super excited to try this card out specifically. If you played Canary from your hand during this turn, which is a powerful new supporter, powerful for lightning Pokemon that is coming out in this set as well, you may use this ability once during your turn. Search your deck for 2 basic lightning energy and attach them to your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. And Canary searches your deck for lightning Pokemon. This then allows us the ability to search your deck for lightning energy. Did I say lightning Pokemon? And then for a lightning and double colorless, flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 70 damage times the number of heads. So really cool combo with this plus Canary. This also works pretty well with Ignition Energy. Even if the energy cost was like 3 basic lightnings, you could still play Ignition Energy in here. So yeah, the Heliolisk is pretty sick. Definitely excited to give the Heliolisk a try when it comes out. We got a Tapu Koko here with a pretty good first attack, but of course the question is, how are you going to get this thing into the active to take advantage of this? For a single lightning energy, you may use the ability on your first turn. Discard your hand and draw 5 cards, and then double lightning colorless, 130, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. So like a okay one prize attacker in maybe some kind of electric deck. And the power of its first attack is pretty cool, as well as kind of a, I don't know, not get out of jail free card, but get out of a dead hand situation style card. And also it's pretty cool in Miraidon decks because it's a lightning Pokemon. You can use Miraidon's tandem unit to search it out of your deck. The problem at that point, especially on that first turn going first, is when you'd want to be able to abuse this, is how do you get it into the active? Obviously you can play stuff like Switch and Air Balloon and Latias, but like, are you going to be able to do that consistently enough where it makes sense to include this card over your deck, in your deck, over something like a Squawkabilly? I'm not sure, but it is a pretty cool card, and it does have some synergy with other lightning Pokemon in the format. Up next, we got this Mismagius, which has a pretty decent attack. I just don't know how you'd want to make this thing work. And also the Mischievous is pretty cool as well. It's got the Ascension attack here. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it onto this Pokemon to evolve it. Then shuffle your deck. And then there's the Mismagius, of course. Assassin's Magic for a Psychic and a Color, 60 damage. If your opponent's active is affected by a special condition, put 6 damage counters on one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So a cool little snipe attack, but I don't know what you'd actually play this with. Obviously, there is the Mismagius EX, but that card is terrible, even if it does do a lot of confusion shenanigans. So yeah, I'm not sure if the Mismagius really cuts it, but the attack is cool. I mean, you could play with like Brute Bonnet, I guess, and like poison their active Pokemon, and then Assassin's Magic and go 60-60. Maybe there's something there, and then set up for like some kind of TM Devolution play. That could be kind of cool, I guess, but yeah, I'm not holding out hope for this one. Up next, we got the Rotom, and this is a big upgrade to the Rotom decks. If you're a Rotom enjoyer, Roto Call, excuse me, for a single color energy, search your deck for as many cards with Rotom in their name as you like, and place them onto your bench, and then shuffle your deck. And you see it isn't limiting to just non-rule box Rotom. So we can search for Rotom EX with the Roto Call as well. And it's got the Gadget Show attack like all the other Rotoms. 2 colorless, this attack does 30 damage for each tool card attached to all your Pokemon. So yeah, I'm going to be playing 4 Psychic Rotom in my deck. I'll probably be still playing a variety of other types, but I want to open this thing. Well, maybe you don't need 4. We do have Air Balloons in the deck as well. We might not need 4 of them, but I am going to be playing a lot of this Rotom in my deck for sure. Being able to Roto Call for all my Rotoms, that's one of the problems I had with the deck, was just finding my basic Pokemon, and this just completely solves that instantly. So yeah, a really sick upgrade for the Rotom deck. Moving along, we got the Spectrier here. It's got the Hollow Shot for a Psychic, 30 damage, that KOs Badoo. And then we've got Psychic, colorless, a Phantom Beat. Discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. Place 12 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Interesting addition to Guard Vortex. There's a way to get around Shaman now, which that's cool if you want Gardevoir to have more options. Now, this card doesn't seem overwhelmingly good like Mega Diancie. Mega Diancie and Gardevoir seem super strong. Maybe you don't play it in all builds of the deck, but that's definitely a whole different beast than something like Spectrier here. Also, like, Screamtail is also just better than Spectrier for sure, but I mean, why does Gardevoir need more options? That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like, this card's not broken in Gardevoir, but like, do we need to give it more? And yes, this does release before rotation. This comes out on January 30th. Rotation will be end of March, beginning of April. We don't know the exact dates, but it'll be roughly around that time next year. So plus 2 months, or this will be available for Gardevoir to use for 2 months. Just a new card you could play if you want to. Like, what the heck, man? Why do we have to do this? We got a Medicham here. It's got a pretty powerful attack, to be honest, but the condition, besides the condition, like the base stats, a single fighting for 150, it's not bad. But if you don't have exactly 7 cards in your hand, this attack does nothing. Now, it does take a fighting energy, so we're going to be playing fighting energy, so we can play it with Lunatone and Solrock. There's obviously some synergy there. Getting and keeping 7 cards in our hand at all times would be tough, though, especially against any deck that plays a heavy Iono count, like the Gardevoirs, like the Dragapults, stuff like that. So I'm not that hype on the Medicham, to be honest, but I don't hate it. I do like the attack. It would be a cool meme deck maybe, but that's about it. I'm going to talk about Mega Hawlucha, although it is a pretty disappointing card. Basic Mega, 250 HP, strong body, pretty good ability. When this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack, flip a coin. If heads, this Pokemon is not knocked out and its remaining HP is 10 instead. Really good ability, but you got to have something on the attack, on the card, that makes it worth the putting it in play to actually get advantage of the ability. And I don't think the attack here from Mega Hawlucha is worth putting it in play to get advantage of the ability. 2 fighting and a colorless, somersault dive, 120 damage. If there's a stadium in play, this attack does 140 more damage, then discard the stadium. 260 damage for 3 energy isn't like terrible, but we have to have a stadium, and then we're just a 250 HP Mega Pokemon. That's just not worth it. There's no chance. I really like this Colossal here, though. It's got the Tar Cannon attack. This attack does 140 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you don't have 10 or more basic fighting energy in your discard pile, this attack does nothing. But got Earthen Vessel, got Solrock, got Lunatone. Definitely pretty easy to do. And we're sniping 140 on the bench over and over and over again. That doesn't seem terrible. And it does it to anything. It doesn't have to be a bench Pokemon. We get some damage modifiers involved, like the Premium Power Pros, maybe a Maximum Belt. We're basically 2-hit KOing everything in the format, with the potential to 1-hit KO stuff like Pheasantipity. We do have to gust it into the active, of course, but being able to reach the bench and KO Monkey Dories off the bench, 2-hit KO stuff like Pheasantipity off the bench. I don't know. I kind of like this Colossal. You'd have to basically build the deck fully around the Colossal, I feel like, because it is so intensive. The first attack is so energy intensive in the cost of energy in your discard pile. But once again, this seems like a pretty cool meme deck to put together, so big fan of the Colossal. Up next, we do have the Team Rocket's Honchkrow. It's got that Rocket's Feather attack for 2 colorless energy. Discard any number of supporter cards with Team Rocket in their name from your hand. This attack does 60 damage for each card discarded this way. It's not overwhelmingly good. I wouldn't play it in any kind of Team Rocket's Mewtwo / Spite Ops build, but maybe in some kind of build with the Porygon Z, like a 2-2 line of Team Rocket's Honchkrow as a potential opener, although you'd probably only want to play a 2-2, so the chance that you open Murkrow isn't that high, and that deck doesn't have a ton of mobility. But even as like your secondary attacker or your second attacker, it wouldn't be terrible, and you can hit pretty hard in the early game potentially. So yeah, I do like the Rocket's Honchkrow as a potential inclusion in that Porygon Z deck. Up next, we have the Mega Scrafty, another Mega Letdown, I would say, with the Counter Cowl ability. If this Pokemon is in the active spot when it takes damage, 5 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Okay, sure. But then for 2 dark and a colorless, the Outlaw Leg, 160. Choose a random card from your opponent's hand and discard it. Then discard the top card of your opponent's deck. It's like a pseudo mill card. It does have 330 HP as a stage 1. That is pretty good. That's not terrible, right? Those are like decent numbers. But the damage, I mean, we're 2-hit KOing everything. The discard effect is okay. Obviously, when we get hit, they take 5 damage counters. This card, I'm not feeling it. I don't feel like this has enough to actually be that good. Obviously, we would play this with Toxtricity to be able to get the energy onto the Pokemon. We could play Monkey Dory with it, of course, as well. And back-to-back 160s only does 320 damage, but you get a Monkey Dory or 2 Adrenaline Brains involved, and that'll allow us to reach those higher numbers for the higher HP Mega Pokemon, and even stuff like a Charizard EX potentially. But overall, I'm not blown away by this. I mean, I guess being able to discard random cards from your opponent's hand. You can play with Unfair Stamp, which could be kind of cool. Like, they take their first knockout and they go Unfair, Outlaw Leg. It is, like, pretty decently aggressive, like, mill pressure as well. Maybe there's something here, but I'm not blown away by the Mega Scrafty at all. Up next, we got the Pecharunt here. We've got the Lash Chain ability. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, search your deck for one card and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So a good ability, but you got to have some pretty powerful other options to back it up. Similar to the Hawlucha, the ability's good, but Mochi Rush for a single dark, 20 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Mochi Rush does 50 more damage. And of course, the way to empower this in the early game for sure would be to play it with Binding Mochi, so that we can poison it with like a Brute Bond Net, and then we put a Mochi on this. We're hitting for 60, 70 with the poison on our opponent's active. If it's not a dark Pokemon, you get the Poison Stadium involved. But at that point, should we just be playing the other baby Pecharunt? I kind of think so. So yeah, overall, this Pecharunt does not seem ridiculous. Honestly, this set is kind of like the king of interesting / cool meme decks that I want to try. Because up next, we have the King Gambit here with the Supreme Overload ability. Attacks used by this Pokemon deal 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. For each prize card your opponent has taken, then for 2 Metal Energy, Double Edge / 180, this Pokemon does 50 damage to itself. And Metal has some pretty decent support right now. We have the, what is it? Not Metagross, the one before that. Matang? Magnum? No, what is it? Not Matang. Wait, it is Matang. It is Matang. We have Matang that can look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You take any energy you find there, and you accelerate to your Pokemon in any way you like. And then we also have Genesect EX, of course, searching our deck for Metal Evolution cards. So you can find the King Gambit, can find the Bisharp. And with this specifically, the ability is kind of cool. The top attack here is a little bit costly, 180, but the second attack, or the first attack here on this Bishop, was the second evolution, or the second Pokemon. If we play something like Relicanth to get access to our attacks from our Pawniard and our Bisharp, we can all of a sudden be using like Kick Draw for, I don't know, 80 damage, 110 damage, something like that through a Relicanth to set up for 2-hit KOs until we get to the point where Double Edge Slash, excuse me, 1-hit KOs our opponent's Pokemon, or we can set up for a Double Edge Slash, 2-hit KO, something like that. So a mix of King Gambit with Metatang, could be pretty cool. Up next, we've got the Mega Dragonite EX. Once again, a card I've already covered, but we're going to go through it again anyways. 370 HP, Sky Transport once on your turn. You may use the ability to switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, and it does 330 for Water Double Lightning. Discard 200 for this Pokemon. Obvious synergy here with Electric that is currently in the standard format. And not this, but this, it's stage 1, also is pretty powerful. The Dragonair, the Evolution Guidance. Once on your turn, you may use this ability. If this Pokemon has any energy attached to it, search your deck for one Evolution Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So pretty good synergy here, or pretty good stage 1 here to help us set up our Dragonites, and then also set up Electrics, I would assume is what we play with this. So yeah, definitely solid. Hit really hard with the Mega Dragonite EX. And if we're playing it with Electric, we could play a whole bunch of other tech cards in the deck as well. And Zekrom here, of course, going to be probably the biggest card from the set. This is a huge boost to Zoroark decks. Triple Colorless has got the Shred for 70 damage. His attack damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. And then we got that Rampaging Thunder for 250. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn, but mobility is definitely not End Zoroark's problem. So being able to go back-to-back 250s with the Zoroark should be no problem at all. Or just setting up another Zoroark on your bench and retreating into that one. So many different options to pull that off. A huge boost to the Ends deck for sure. Now we get into the trainer cards here. I'm going to once again go over the ones we've already talked about before, but let's talk about a new one first, or maybe talk about both of the new ones first. The Light Ball here, the attacks of the Pikachu EX, this Pokemon tool is attached to do 50 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. That's right, Terra Pikachu, that currently hits for 300 damage, can now hit for 350 damage. That KOs Guardy EX, Charizard EX, Dragapult EX. Wait, there's more. Some of the Megas, Mega Lucario has 360, or is it 350? Maybe don't KO Mega Lucario. I don't remember how much HP it has. We don't KO stuff like Mega Dragonite, but we would be able to KO stuff like the Mega Scrafty. That is a huge boost to any Pikachu-style deck that isn't reliant on the sparkling crystal to actually function, which Terra Box isn't always reliant on the sparkling crystal, so we could see that being played in there. But I think Joltik Box specifically, this is a huge upgrade to Pikachu EX and the Joltik Box. Got the thick scales here. The Dragon Pokemon this card is attached to takes 50 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Grass, Fire, and Water Pokemon. Grass, Fire, Water, and Lightning Pokemon. Seems like a pretty powerful tool card depending on the metagame, of course. We've got the Canary. Discard 1 card from your hand in order to use this card. Search your deck for up to 4 Lightning Pokemon. Reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. I'm really excited to try this card with not just the Heliolisk, of course, because it seems really cool with Heliolisk with the obvious synergy there, but also Iono's Belly Bolt. This card could be a game changer for Iono's Belly Bolt, because that deck already has a ton of built-in draw power through the Kilowatt roll. It just kind of needed consistency, and this might be the missing piece, and Iono's Belly Bolt might actually be like a really good deck once this card drops. I'm really excited to try that combo out specifically. And then finally, we have the Night Mine here. Attacks used by each Terra Pokemon to play, both yours and your opponents, cost a colorless more, depending on the metagame, depending on your matchup spread against certain Terra decks. This could be a pretty powerful inclusion index. Definitely one of those more niche tech cards. You're not going to see this as a 4 of in every deck moving forward, but sometimes we forget what Pokemon are Terra Pokemon. Charizard EX, Dragapult EX, Terra Pikachu, Water Pawn, Teal Mask Ogrepawn. I mean, there's obviously more out there that I'm missing, but yeah, there's a lot of them. So definitely a cool stadium that we could definitely have some impact in future metagames. All right, let me know what you think about the cards. Honestly, there's a lot more interesting for how many cards there are in this set. The Mega Dream set total, it's more of an upgrade set than anything. Like, there's no new tier 1 archetype, I don't think, coming out of this set. Maybe Dragonite Electric, but I'm not sold on that. I could see it being competitive, but probably not tier 1. So overall, it's a lot of upgrades, right? The Canary, the Lightning Ball. This is like a tech card. This is an upgrade to Zoroark, of course. Zoroark's not going to be a whole new archetype because of that. But there's like a lot of cool meme stuff, like the Colossal, like the Heliolisk. I don't expect these cards to be competitive, but they seem like a ton of fun. Mega Electros is just an upgrade to Lightning decks, or Electric decks, I should say. So a lot of upgrades, a lot of cool memes, but I would say on average, a lot more interesting cards in this set per card, per every 10 cards, whatever you want to say, than most sets. Let me know what you think about the set in the comment section down below. Did I miss any obvious combos, or is there anything else I should have talked about, like this terrible card that I didn't? Let me know, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.